Hey, this is Frank. You're listening to an Origins episode of the Unbecoming Platypus podcast. Do you ever feel like you have friends who sometimes just don't get each other? This is a podcast that I recorded with two of my friends, Jake and Noah. We find out the hard ways we struggle to communicate better and sometimes succeed, but sometimes not. For years, the three of us have talked about communication and how it's sometimes easier said than done. Even when we're trying to be understanding, our well-meaning intentions often get lost in translation. We decided to share these conversations with the world. Join us as we find out what happens when three friends try to learn how to really talk to each other.
You went to the City Museum on Friday. How was that? 10-story slide?
Yeah, I burnt my back.
Really?
Yeah. When you go down a slide as a 6'4" man, you have to be really careful not to tear an Achilles, I found. Because your feet, it's a spiral slide, and my legs are too long. And so my feet would hit the edge of the slide. And I didn't have some slides when you're a big man, you just don't, there's too much friction. You just don't slide down the slide very well. I did not have that problem, but my feet kept hitting the side. And I was terrified that it was just going to snap my Achilles because like your tennis shoe will grab the metal slide. And so I was completely concerned with that. And then I got down the slide and I was like, why does my back burn? Well, my shirt had slid up. And so I slid down this metal slide the whole way. Had no idea during it because of the Achilles problem. And then afterwards I was like, man, my back hurts.
Despite the damage to your person, did you, like, I went there 2 months ago, something like that. And I just found myself feeling like I was 7 years old again.
Oh, yeah.
I was in this state of play.
I did not feel 7, mostly because it hurt to crawl. Because I'm old.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
This is fun. I hope that place stays open forever.
It really is. I mean, it's just, there's this aspect of, I'm going to crawl through this tunnel and I have no idea what's on the other side that is really hard to get in a world where there's a lot of assumptions. It's like, I've been through this. I know what happens.
It's a completely unique experience. I don't think you can find that particular thing almost anywhere else in the world. Like a playground for adults.
I really don't know how that place is still open, like insurance and risk wise.
Oh, seriously. I mean, I came out of there bleeding on my head.
Most do.
I find it interesting that you are 5'3", maybe, and you hit your head. And I did not hit my head once while I was there.
Well, how fast is your girlfriend? Because mine was slipping through those caves like a freaking salamander.
Yeah. I also think that as a tall person, I am more aware of hitting my head on things.
Yeah.
Because
I don't have padding. He doesn't have any padding.
It's on my head? I mean, I suppose I have hair. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I hit my head so much more often than any person should. And it's very obvious. I'm bald. So, even the tiniest little nick is like super obvious. But it reminds me of this thing, and this doesn't quite pertain to the City Museum, but, I used to work a job where every once in a while I'd have to go into an industrial area, and you were required to wear steel-toed boots and a hard hat. And I'd put this hard hat on, and I would hit my head almost constantly. That's great because I'm wearing a hard hat, and it's protecting me from all these things. But I'm only hitting them because I'm wearing the hard hat. That, to me, I have never stopped thinking about that. What do we do to protect ourselves that only hurts us because we're trying to protect ourselves?
I imagine Jake laying in bed at night just going, I didn't hit my head without a hard hat.
Grilling a steak, and all he's thinking about is his hard hat scenario. I've never stopped thinking about it.
It's fascinating, though, right? I mean, you could apply this to anything.
Yeah.
Like, I think that everybody's trying to hurt me, so I put walls up, except that it hurts me more because the walls are there than it would if I were just vulnerable.
Yeah.
Can we name this? Or is it like a known
thing? I think it's already vulnerability, and you just used the word in the definition.
Vulnerability is not having the wall up. What is it when you make a protective or evasive measure and you get hurt because you anticipated a danger that wouldn't have been there unless you tried to protect yourself.
That exists. I'm sure that's a term. I don't know.
How do you search for it?
Type everything you just said into a search engine.
That would probably work.
Frank's our researcher. He'll do it.
It's like, I'm falling and I put my hands out to catch myself and I break my wrists. But if I had just fallen, I may have landed on a shoulder or something that was padded. I broke my wrists because I tried to protect myself.
Yeah, I do think I'm going back to the City Museum.
Yeah, you should.
I do think it's an interesting thing to think about play.
Yeah.
We know play is really important, but we tend to do it less and less as we get older. And I know, me in particular, I'm really bad at it. I enjoy myself, but I don't maybe show it very well. We talked about this on the podcast, like me at a concert, for instance. Like I'm get into the music and I probably look like I'm having a horrible time, which is not true, but I probably look that way. And that happens to me in groups a lot because I like one-on-one. So if I'm in a group of 4, 5, 6 people, I'm just kind of listening to everything because I can't hone in on one conversation, one connection. So I probably look like I'm not having a great time, which is not always true. And one of the things that I love about Eymi is that she just has this childlike joy about doing things. And that comes out a lot. I mean, I sent you guys a video of her swinging on a rope at the City Museum, and I thought it was adorable because after she was done, she like jumped up and down 3 times like a child.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that kind of goes in with, Frank's favorite thing to say is you should do what you think is cool. And it's like this state of play, I think, really loops into like, a lot of people talk about the flow state. Well, you don't just get into a flow state unless it's something that you're sort of naturally inclined to and actually truly just lose yourself in. So I get there, I was there at the City Museum, and that's sort of where I was going with that. Like, did you feel like a 7-year-old, back when you were imagining this thing? It's impossible not to imagine whenever you're at the City Museum. This literally looks like you're in a cave. You literally don't have to imagine. You don't know where this tunnel leads. You just keep going, and you're going to find out later. Like that, to me, is really cool in a physical environment.
For sure.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it.
Yeah. We do lose that a lot, though. I mean, and it's an adaptive trait. We make a lot of assumptions about the world around us in a way we choose what things are instead of just encountering them on their own terms. And I think that, kids, they're still in a place where they don't know what's going to happen. But after 20, 30 years, you're like, yeah, I know it. I've been there. I've done that. And we kind of lose that ability to encounter things like it's the first time. So as a result, seeing another person, you saw Eymi like jump up and down, that's motivating. It's inspiring in a way to be like, oh, that still exists. I want some of that for myself.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, one of my favorite things about her, and she brings it out of me in a little bit. And I mean, I remember we went to Puerto Rico and she just was like, oh, there's an arcade. Let's go to the arcade. And I'm like, I would see an arcade and go,
Yeah.
We went to the arcade, had a blast. We went to another arcade yesterday. We went to the Up Down. And she just has so much fun. And I find she pulls me into that because we're playing a game. Like we're playing, I don't know, like, I don't even know the names of the games, but we're playing a racing game. And I'm just like, yeah. And, you know, it's really, it teaches me a lesson that I probably need, which is to have more fun, forget about the rest of my life for a second. And we all went bowling the other night. And that was a lot of fun. I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going with this other than I think I need to have more fun.
I agree. It's weird because you said the thing about arcades and like, I have that too. I'm like, I could play a video game at my house for free, but a couple of months ago, I went to Dave & Buster's, spent like $150, took my 6-year-old there, and it was one of the best times I can remember. Like we spent like 4 hours just playing these different things. There was one thing that he did, and it cost more tokens than just about anything else. But he was literally sitting in a seat, and you watch a video in front of you, and it's sort of, all encompassing, and the seat shakes because it's like you're riding a roller coaster. And I watched him encountering this roller coaster, and you're like jumping off cliffs, or you're, in a mine cart rolling down the Great Wall of China. And I watch his eyes, and he's just like, oh my God, this is about to happen. And then it starts shaking. And I mean, that was thrilling for me.
Yeah. Well, and last night, one of the things she's never played pool.
Okay.
And last night we ended up at the Gramophone. And they have a pool table. So Eric and Shelby and Amy and myself, we played pool for her for the first time. And she just had a blast. She missed the cue half the time.
Yeah.
She knocked the cue off the table probably 10 times. I think she made one ball, but she just was like dancing around to the music. There was somebody playing live music, and she was dancing around, and she was laughing at herself. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I used to. We all used to when when you're young. It is a childlike thing. Like it's this innocent, childlike, not worried about everything else joy that I struggle to access, I think.
I definitely do. I think it's the pragmatic side of me, the side of me that like needs to be the master of something, needs to be good at it so that it's utilitarian. And I mean, you can turn anything into that. I remember my first video game was Super Mario World. I still love playing that game, but I've gotten every single star. I've gotten to all the hidden levels. I have beat it every way. There's secret ways to beat some of the ghost houses and the castles, and I've done that. I have explored every square inch of that game, and I've owned it. And my muscle memory knows when to jump on each level and these types of things. But there is something about pool, about bowling, where you're literally just playing with physics. You're just like, if I throw it this way, if I hit the ball that way, it bounces. Pinball, a steel ball bearing, it like gives me this haptic feedback and somehow bounces. Shouldn't bounce, it's steel, but like there's no thought in it. It's just fun.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thought because I'm a decent bowler. I used to bowl in leagues, and I've bowled a couple times recently. The most recent was a couple nights ago with you guys, and I'm just bowling with a ball from the alley. The holes don't fit my fingers. The ball's not drilled for particular curve or whatever. And I still had fun trying to figure it out and bowl as well as possible. But if I had my ball that was drilled for my fingers, had plugs, everything in it, you know what I mean? Like I would have taken it way more seriously because I want to do well. But because I just put myself in this space where I'm just having a good time, it was way more enjoyable.
Do you think that's how you induce the play state? Like for me, one of the ways that I have fun more than any other way is CrossFit. I get to do it almost every day. I come out of it with a smile on my face. It's exhilarating. It's a challenge, that type of stuff. But I'm doing it for a reason. I am attempting to complete the workout as fast as possible or get as much work done in a short amount of time as possible, but there's something else, to sort of like taking the intentionality away that allows us to just be present in a space. There's no goal here.
Yeah. Well, I think about you in the open. We had conversations around the open because you stress yourself out to a certain extent because you want to do well. You want to perform well. You've put all this time into being fit, into preparing yourself. And I think you fight this battle between performance and just enjoyment. And That's what I feel too. I mean, even with the bowling thing, if I had my ball, I'd want to perform well because now I have some sort of expectation that I've put on myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that expectation with a bowling alley ball and bowling alley shoes and playing with my friends and stuff. That expectation is gone, so I have more fun. So I think maybe that's where the line is expectation.
Expectation might be the way that we induce frustration in ourselves more than any other.
Yeah, it could be.
How do you have fun?
What?
I mean, what sorts of things make you have childlike fun?
I mean, the city museum for sure. Exploring in nature, like just finding trails that are unknown. That's a pretty good time. I need to do it more, but I like cycling a lot. That's a lot of fun too. Like, or even, riding a motorcycle, like that sort of like feeling the physical world coming at you. It's pretty cool, I think. I think there's a line here, like where you have cognition sort of goes offline for fun. And so sometimes you guys talk about the importance of understanding everyone in the world. And you think he's dead?
Jake's leaving because, yeah,
we've been fighting about this all day. And so that's okay. He has a meeting.
Don't talk about fun. Jake will leave.
Yeah.
Hate fun.
Yeah. But sometimes you guys talk about how it's sort of important that the culture is shifting to be more understanding. And I've had some like struggle with that being an important conversation because of this thing we're talking about right now, really, which is I think people should do what's cool, like what's in front of them, what's natural and what induces fun. And they're going to do this anyways. And so like getting more clarity on the edges of things you don't understand is important, but actually living and acting in the world seems more important. And so doing the sort of things that get you in a flow state or fun seems like a much more important message to share with the world. To me.
Mm-hmm. What I think is fun is thinking about the framework in which people have a subset of options for what is fun. And that subset is narrowing toward more altruistic options. And that's just looking at the system as a whole.
You think that's about as fun as the cave? Or
yeah, honestly, yeah.
Eymi and I were at the mall the other day, and there was in the Galleria Mall, there's a market research place, and it says "Get paid for your opinions." And I thought, man, Jake's got no earning potential.
You have earning potential, man.
Yeah, there's, I don't know, that's really funny though, because one of the ways that I lose myself is in conversations about topics.
Yeah.
And I've literally categorized all these things as questions that have no answer and could have no answer. They are the most useless questions you could ask. And yet to me, that's like where I want to sit with friends for 3 hours drinking coffee and just thinking about the universe. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a problem with it as a conversation. I like it.
Yeah. I mentioned this before, or maybe I haven't. Depends on what airs and what doesn't. So I,
yeah, you have to introduce these ideas as though no one ever heard them. Just
right. So recently, I realized that I was anytime that I wanted to do something for leisure or for fun on my off time, it'd be like, okay, well, it's really nice outside. I'm going to go find a patio. I'm going to get a cocktail. I'm going to read a book. And I just really didn't like that my mind always went to something that included alcohol. It wasn't that I was drinking too much or anything like that at any given point in time. It was just happening without real determination. Like I wasn't saying, oh, should I or should I not do this? When was the last time I had a drink? It was just like alcohol was finding its way into my life too often in that that was contrary to my stated goals. So I completely got rid of alcohol in my life and was really curious. Okay, there's a vacuum here. I want to go have fun. I want to go relax. What's going to happen if I take some of these opportunities away? Well, I'm going to get creative in some way. And one of the things that's popped up is I started fishing again. I haven't fished in years, but I freaking love it. Just like there's this element of adventure of not knowing what happens next, that thrill of, it's not quite hunting, but it's like, I'm going to try to trap something. I'm going to try to catch something. There's like something primitive in there, and I can go out there literally for 10, 12 hours and time just passes, and I love it.
I love that for you. I don't think I could fish. I used to fish when I was little with my grandpa.
Uh-huh.
That's it. I've never had an interest.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it might be kind of cool, the primitive part, or the sort of primal catch something. One area that I have lots of childlike sort of freedom and fun is honestly in like mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
So for like the being in nature and no one talking to me would be very nice. That I would like a lot. I'd probably do that for 10 hours, but
I love hiking and stuff. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Being in the woods. I love when there's no phone signal and I can't be bothered and you can just soak it in. I don't know that I could sit and wait for fish to bite.
Yeah.
Maybe I could. Maybe I should try it sometime.
I'm going to try it soon. Brandy's dad likes fishing a lot and wants us to go fishing with him. So
nice.
I haven't been fishing in at least a decade.
Yeah. I don't know. I have this side of me that really enjoys sort of tapping into that primitive side. I have one of the things I want to do here in the near future is take a camping trip just solo. And I don't plan to pack any food. I just want to catch fish and, if I catch them, I eat. If I don't, I don't. I really love watching like YouTube channels about like survivalism, setting traps, how to start fires, that type of stuff. Like freaking love it. Elizabeth's son recently has been really interested in catching a rabbit. I don't know why, but it reminded me of when I was young. Like I used to try to design traps and catch rabbits. Wasn't going to do anything with these rabbits, but like there's this aspect that I could sit for 2 hours and just try to set a hair trigger. I love that stuff. And I grew up fishing. My dad and I would go several times a year. My grandpa, he lived right across from the lake and they had a dock. So we'd just go sit on the dock and fish. And I learned at a very young age how to, scale them and clean out their guts. And we ate everything that we caught. And that's just a piece of my life that's always been there. And I feel like I'm kind of tapping back into it.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I designed like cities as a
Cities?
kid. Yeah, much more likely than like catching a rabbit. I have like a whole road system, vehicles everywhere in the backyard.
I like that.
That's more my speed.
Yeah.
I don't know if these things are primal or cultural. I think you just probably watched a lot of Elmer Fudd.
Yes.
That guy is hunting
Is it
rabbits.
Is it because I'm bald?
Isn't he always hunting wabbits?
Quiet. I'm hunting wabbits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of engineering type of shows, so probably wanted to build things more than
Bob the Builder.
Yeah, I don't remember that being a part of it, but
That's the only engineering show I know.
Home Improvement, that's not what I'm thinking. That guy that was on PBS building houses and stuff.
Bob Vila.
Bob Vila.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I watched a ton of
Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah.
I watched that. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're fine. I was watching animal shows constantly. I'd watch people like going out and surviving in the woods, or like all these biologists. Jeff Corwin, is that his name? They just go
Could
out
be.
and like. I remember, it was when GPS wasn't really a thing, that was in the public domain yet. And he was like, this is a GPS, a global positioning system. And with this, I know exactly where I'm at in the Amazon rainforest or whatever. And we'd go and talk to sloths.
What kind of shows did you watch, Noah?
Man, let's just keep naming TV shows. In this podcast, three friends named television shows. Man, what did I watch? I mean, cartoon, like Captain Planet, I really enjoyed. I liked superhero stuff. I remember watching like Spider-Man,
the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, but I don't know that my interests were formed by television at all.
I don't know if mine were either.
I think my thing would be sports, probably. I played sports. I played baseball, basketball, soccer. I was very active. That was the thing. Like, my dad and I would go play basketball on Saturdays with a bunch of people from our church. So that was my thing more than like fishing or building cities, which is it's a good one.
What do you mean by that?
I just love that you're like, I built cities. That was the thing I did for fun.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's tactile. It's real.
Yeah, I'm not making fun of it. I was like, wow, I mean, you were way more advanced than me. I threw balls.
Yeah, that helps to have a ball when you're trying to talk to a boy, I've heard.
What?
I would also build cities, but they were, like, when I think about them, they were cities in the earth. Like, I was always fascinated by the city of Petra. It's like built into the rock face.
Oh, yeah.
Like that, to me, it connects, and I still have this. I have this in days when it's like thunderstorming. And for me, shelter is like this. It's at its most beautiful. It's like I can engage with this thing that otherwise would be dangerous or, just really ruining my day. And instead, I'm just enjoying this little, cave of cuddliness and reading a book or having a fire or whatever. And so what I would do is I would like dig into the mud, and I would make sure that there's like a stairway or a ramp moving down. And then in that hole, I would create little like alcoves and stuff. And these were the places where people lived. And I love creating like hidden spaces and stuff like that. Just little nooks and crannies. I love it.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I had layers, levels. And I mean, I didn't think about this, but like tons of like hideouts in the woods, sort of paths and bridges across. Yeah, I was basically an engineering kid, apparently.
I was like 20, and I went out into the woods and built a lean-to for like 3 hours. I was just building this thing.
Yeah.
And it was waterproof. I know this because it started raining while I was building it, and I got inside and I was like, fuck yeah.
Right.
He curses the most on this podcast.
I know.
Is that surprising?
We got to filter that out.
Do we have an easy way to bleep?
Yeah.
Wait, watch. And I was like, beep, yeah.
That was a horrible beep.
I have strep throat.
What if we just have you record a different word that we use to replace any, like, ay caramba, that guy did.
Frick.
No. It's
Frick.
got to be funnier than that.
Ay caramba.
Ay caramba.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Replace any curse word with that.
Noah's next up to edit, so
Oh, wow.
have fun with that. Maybe you'll love it. Maybe it'll be like a state of play for you.
Maybe.
Editing?
Yeah.
I can tell you for certain it will not be.
Not with that attitude.
It is a state of play, depending on how much of a backlog you have, for me at least. if I have 400 other tasks that need done today, it doesn't feel like a state of play. But if I have freedom around it, it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Fine. I think Jake likes it.
I do.
Is there a concert happening close to us?
Downstairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All signs would point to yes. It's a yoga concert.
It's a downstairs yoga concert. Did we have a conclusion to this podcast?
It's not for utility, man. This isn't for a point. It's just to talk.
Have fun, guys. Have fun.
We're in a flow state.
Wait, this is the conclusion? Or you're trying to tell me we don't need a conclusion?
I'm trying to tell you.
Or
yes.
it's both.
Have fun, right?
Have fun.
Have fun.
No, I think we need a longer conclusion than that.
Go edit yourself a podcast.
Do what you think is cool.
Do what you think is cool.
Follow your heart.
Give yourself opportunities to try new things too, though. Like that thing that you always do, I think there's a tendency, and at least whatever we all have in common, to turn it into something utilitarian. If you do it enough times, I freaking do this when I drive. I put my car onto, like the fuel economy, and I try to get the best fuel economy possible by being in neutral when I'm on hills and stuff like this. Like I will, it's a game, I suppose, but I'm trying to be as efficient as possible. Like there's a goal to it.
Yeah. I did that before.
When you put yourself in new environments, you encounter things for the first time. And
I just I did that.
if
before.
you borrowed my car, you would play the same game, okay?
That was Frank trying to relate. Frank's trying to relate. I did that before.
I mean, it's the natural thing to do when you get in my car.
I don't think I tried to relate. I think I succeeded at relating. Did you feel related to?
Absolutely.
Maybe you
Need to drive
didn't feel related to.
Do you want me to say I did a thing so you can say, yeah, I did that too? And we'll see how I feel.
If it's one I did, I'll try. Yeah, go ahead. I'm not just going to blanket anything, say I did it. Go ahead and tell me a thing you did. Actually, tell me a whole story about something you did recently that you really enjoyed.
Oh, man. I haven't enjoyed myself in years.
How was that cocktail class?
Yeah.
Fun. That was a lot of fun.
How long was it?
2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, you would have enjoyed it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they taught anything you didn't know for sure. So
What'd you make?
That's a good question.
That many things, huh?
Well, we made 3 full-size cocktails each.
Okay.
We went off 3 different templates.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember the different drinks that I made, but
The templates were what? Old fashioned, sour, martini, or Manhattan?
sidecar,
Yep.
old fashioned, and something else. I don't remember the third one. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Was it like a Manhattan or a martini?
I don't remember.
Was it a flip? It probably wasn't a flip.
No.
Did you have fun at it?
I had a lot of fun, yeah.
Tell me just not in so much technical language, just tell me about the experience. Tell us.
This is therapy?
I
You
don't
feel
know.
very therapist right now.
Why? Why?
I think you
I told
softened
them
your
that
voice.
the other day.
Why?
You softened your voice and you're trying to get something out of me.
Yeah, I just want you to share so I can relate to you.
But you didn't take a cocktail class, so you're not going to be able to say, I did that once.
You don't know if I've ever taken a cocktail class?
Have you?
I don't think so. Maybe.
He stood next to me in the kitchen plenty of times.
Definitely from Jake. I have. I might have taken something in Charleston that had included a cocktail.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I don't know that much about making cocktails. Jake's had me make a few, and I certainly learned some things, but I don't make cocktails ever, so you don't hold on to that information. I knew nothing about templates, so that was kind of cool to... I didn't fully understand that really cocktails are templatized, so you can play with ingredients. I suppose I knew this sort of intuitively, but you can play with ingredients, but they all follow the same template. So you can make things up and whatever. That was fun. It was a lot of fun to do it with Eymi. Everything with Eymi is a lot of fun, but she knew nothing about cocktails and somehow made the best ones out of all of us. She made one where the guy tasted it and his face was like, "Did you change something yet?" And she goes, "No." And he's like, "Are you sure?" She goes, "Yeah." And then he goes, "Did you put Contro in this?" And she goes, "No." "So you did change something." She's like, "No, I put banana in it." "So you did change something." He was like, "It's phenomenal, but you didn't follow the recipe."
Nice.
So that was a lot of fun. She just had no idea what she was doing, and she didn't even know how to do ounces because they don't.
They do mils.
Yeah. So she was like, she like looked at me and she's like, "Hey, what's 0.75 ounces?"
Fill it up to that line there.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun doing it with her, but yeah, exploring. Like I made from the old fashioned template. I made something with tequila, I think, which I had never done before. No, I made elderflower.
As the base?
Elderflower something or other. It was the name of the drink.
Okay.
I can show you later. I have a book they gave me.
Fine. Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, it was just fun to experiment with things. I can totally see why you really dove into it because
it's very creative.
It's very creative and you can experiment and everything tastes different. Everything's so nuanced and you just changing one ingredient can completely change the cocktail. So that was a lot of fun. We were tipsy. It was 3 full-size cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also tasted each other's drinks. Yep. And the one that the instructor made too. We used like pipettes to taste things.
So did they choose like the first 3 cocktails for the template? Did they ask you like what sorts of drinks you were interested in? Like,
no, the templates were already chosen. They teach the same templates, but each template had recipes for like 3 or 4 different drinks.
Okay.
So you could choose from that, or you could be as creative as you wanted. Mm-hmm. I mean, they didn't like stop you. If you want to make something up, go ahead, which is what Eymi did by accident. So that was funny. And then she made another drink that he had the same sort of like reaction to. He tasted it and he went, "Oh my God, what did you do here? That's really good." He kept coming back and he tasted it like 5 times. She's like, "I don't know what you did, but that's phenomenal." Somehow the one who knew nothing about cocktails at all.
I think this really just proves the point, right? You don't have a goal. You're just playing.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah, I haven't done that.
I just want someone to relate.
Well, I proactively related to you.
Thanks. No, it was a good time. And I think you gave me a bunch of your cocktail, I don't know what you call it.
Mm-hmm. Stuff.
Paraphernalia.
Yeah. And I think I will play with it a little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't ever drink on my own. So we'll see what happens, but
maybe you'll have more company. Maybe you'll host events.
I don't know if I'm ever going to be you and be like, "I want to make 70 cocktails tonight." I don't know if I'll ever be that.
I won't ever be
This
that.
guy had a house menu.
I remember it.
I love it. I don't know. I think that's what it is, though. It's like sharing this joy of you didn't know that this super bitter thing over here. And that's the way I would present it sometimes is like, here, try this ingredient. And your face just puckers and you're tasting something that's bitter. And then I say, okay, taste this cocktail. And you can absolutely taste that ingredient in there, but that bitterness has been balanced out by all this other stuff. And it's like, whoa, I didn't know that something that tasted like that could be enjoyable. And it is.
Yeah.
Right.
but fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I think I'll play around with it a little more. I still think that opening a good cocktail bar in Puerto Rico is in the cards.
Let's do it.
There's a real need there.
Yes.
It's probably a good one.
They
Well,
don't
we
even
had a
have
couple
simple
good
syrup.
ones. We had a couple good ones.
Where was the best one? Vistas?
No, Vistas was okay, but that place on Cabo Rojo.
Oh, that's right. I don't remember what that place was called, but yes, that was definitely the best cocktail.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, no. And Tambu.
that was also very good.
In Rincon.
Yep,
Mhm.
both of those places were great.
Yeah, there are some good cocktails. You just got to go find them.
Yeah.
But I think specifically in the San Juan area, if you open I think a coffee and cocktail bar, like coffee in the morning, cocktails in the afternoon, evening, I think there's a real market for that.
I was talking about this recently with someone. We should use it as a future podcast topic, but I think there are going to be more and more places that are sort of less interested in business and more interested in creating social connection.
Mm.
As there seems to be less dependence on money as a society.
Yeah.
Recently.
Well, there was
You
always.
disagree?
No, it's just everything I was saying earlier.
No, I know. I think you're right. It's just, I thought you were saying it's like palpable, and I don't think it's palpable. It's just
you
barely.
just said a palp.
Yeah, you just said it was palpable.
No, I said in the future it's going to be because there seems to be. Like it doesn't feel palpable yet, but I think we're headed that way. And I did notice, maybe it's palpable. I looked up a coffee place. I was on the way to Decatur or something the other day. And I searched for a coffee shop. I was like, maybe we'll try something new. There are a ton of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a coffee shop in every little city between here and Springfield.
Yep.
These places do not make money. There's no possible way. They don't have enough volume. There's no...
Right.
So they're just there to create social connection, essentially. And I think there's going to be more of these.
Yeah. I, for years, have seen myself maybe owning a coffee shop or something like that. And we talked about it as friends. But the reason is that community, like coffee in particular, but coffee shops have always been about experience. Like coffee itself, the people you have it with, brewing it, all of these things. It's very experiential and it's very communal. And for those reasons, I've always kind of seen myself having that at some point.
Yeah, I agree.
And here I am still talking about coffee and cocktails in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Do you feel like I relate to you on this? When I said I agree?
Have you done that?
Have I done what?
I don't know. Whatever I said, have you done it? I need you to say, yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, I've done that.
Man, I feel related to.
But that's just to take that one step further, that social connection is actually extending globally more than ever. Like if you, and I had this conversation with someone who was opening a coffee shop in a city that had a very ignorant population. Okay. They were opening a slow bar as opposed to Starbucks. You can go through the drive-through. It's going to take you 5 to 10 minutes to get a single cup of black coffee. It's all pour over. Mm-hmm. You have to make that valuable to people in some way. And making that valuable usually takes education. The education starts with the first sip. You try this coffee as opposed to what you've had, and it's a revelation. I didn't know coffee could be that. Then you take it a step further and you say, okay, well, the reason that tastes like that is because it is a single origin coffee that comes from a farm, and we only have that farmer pick coffee cherries at the peak of ripeness. Prior to this, they were going for quantity, not quality, because Folgers and Maxwell House wanted to get coffee from all these farms all over, blend it all together, and make it all taste the same. We are actually presenting this very high quality coffee, and you can taste the difference. It's very palpable. But here's the deal. We have to pay these farmers more because they're picking less.
Yeah.
They're making higher quality stuff. As a result, we're actually investing in a community in Indonesia. We're actually investing in a community in Ethiopia and helping their economy as well. You're paying $6 for this cup of coffee as opposed to $3, but you can taste the difference. If it's valuable to you, we're creating these bonds globally, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, there was some of that, not specifically the tracing it back to the farmer thing, and of course it was a class, but with the intoxicology class, just learning about why we shake for a certain amount of time, why overshaking can dilute too much, why you might get a bad cocktail at a restaurant. It's not usually because the recipe was wrong. It's because somebody wasn't paying attention, or they just don't understand. Understanding why we double strain. These things, like they teach you, this is why you do this, so you get this quality. And that goes a long way, because now I will pay more attention when I get a cocktail at a restaurant. I'll go, oh, they screwed up here.
Well, we went to that bar a few weeks back and we got a Corpse Survivor number 2. And I told you, I was like, this has all the right ingredients, which is pretty impressive for this bar to have these ingredients here. That's weird. But it tastes like totally underdiluted.
Yep.
It was just astringent, and the liqueurs were coming through more perfumey. It needed more water. That was the problem.
Or even the time we were at Gen Mill and you told them how to create. I mean, it's literally equal parts. It's not difficult. And somehow it was all lemon.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, in that case, probably just a measuring issue. And that's the real lesson, is that if anybody can do it. You just have to do it, follow the recipe and do it properly. But that's, I think, similar to the coffee conversation. How do you teach people this is good and this is why it's good?
Yeah. Sump actually just released, they're doing limited release chocolate bars. And I mean, when I say limited, they release like 34. They're probably going to be gone in 2 days.
Did you get one?
Not yet. Oh, I just saw the video last night. It's probably going to be gone before I get the chance to. But they're doing that all through the summer. They've teamed up with 3 different cacao farms, and they're going to present it in the same way that they do their coffee, with like sort of a light roast, not standing in the way of the farmer. And then they're making like, I think 75% chocolate bars with it. Seems really interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, I think I agree with you, Frank. I think that there is more of that, and there will be more of that as we move forward.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I think there's a real narrative in a lot of people's minds and hearts right now about what the future of work looks like, or what meaning is going to be for humans. And I don't know. I think a lot more creative spaces for art and communication, conversations are going to be a lot of that. And
because we are a social media podcast, I think that's what that sort of creator mentality is doing for us in a lot of ways. Is like, how can we, it is more about experience. It is more about making something, and it is more about community. Yeah. It's not always great, but I think that's the heart of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I like it. And as a final point for the podcast, when you said that's why we shake and that's how we know not to overshake or something like that, I imagined a businessman shaking hands.
Yeah, I was talking about shaking cocktails.
I know. I got there real quick, but right when you said just those words, we weren't necessarily still in the cocktail conversation. You're bringing it back. So what do you think of businessmen overshaking?
I really hate it. I really hate it a lot, because you're starting to pull away, and you know that they notice that you pulled away, but then you go back into it and you've just subjected yourself to potentially another 3 minutes of that.
Right. You have become the cause of overshaking now.
Yes. And there are those people that hold your hand while they keep having a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Direct eye contact.
I
6
leave
inches
those
away.
people from my life.
But is there anything worse than a limp shake?
What I just described, I would say.
Yeah, the hold on after shake is bad. But anyways, I thought you were doing the coffee cocktail, and now I'm going to introduce handshakes. It's logic.
I'm all about the handshakes. Have you guys ever seen Donald Trump handshake?
What's it like? Go ahead. You guys can shake hands and I can watch. Maybe next week on the Unbecoming Platypus podcast.
What a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Hey, it's Frank again. Thanks for listening to an Origins episode of the Unbecoming Platypus podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast to stay updated on future episodes. You can also check us out online at theunbecomingplatypus.com. We hope these conversations inspire you to improve your communication skills and deepen your connections with your own friends and loved ones. Until next time, this has been the Unbecoming Platypus podcast.